Hi, it's Brittany from Empurrium. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to sew the Rowena handbag. This is the new pattern from Knotted Threads Co. I am truly obsessed with it. This is the third one I've made, but I plan on making a lot. I actually got templates delivered today, but it is so fun. It's a unique shape. It's got this amazing side. It's so good. So you have these two top exterior zippers, and they open up to most of the main panel. So it's a nice big zipper, and then you have a recessed zipper in here. And on these sides, you have these magnetic snaps. So that allows the bag to fully open. And then you have this fun slip pocket in there that is kind of like hidden by the zipper panel when it is closed. I love it so much. And then it also has connectors for a crossbody strap. Sorry, I know it's like not in view, but there are these D-ring connectors that are on the inside of the bag to add a crossbody strap too. So fun. I love it. There are two different options in the pattern too. She does include the minimalist version in the instructions, everything you need to know about it, and basically what that is you don't have these zippers. So there's no zipper pockets. It's a lot less pieces to cut, and it does go together more quickly. But when you do the minimalist version, it is a full drop-in lining. So keep that in mind. I used this really pretty black lace vinyl from More Me Know. All of my hardware is from More Me Know. I am not sure where I got this web zipper pull. I cannot remember, but this lining, it's so cute. There we go. It has little ghost kitties and like little kitty jack-o'-lanterns and spider webs and stuff. Super cute. I used it to line everything in this bag. It is a print that I am currently running in my Halloween pre-order, and then I'll have it for retail later too. I only changed the way I did a few small things from the way the pattern is. Shannon has a video and it is amazing. I've watched it myself, so definitely check that out. But I love it so much. I do have a cutting tutorial video for this as well, so if you want to check that out before you go to cut it, or however you want to do it. You don't have to watch it at all if you don't want to. But anyways, we're going to get into this. It is a little bit of a longer tutorial, and I do time lapse a couple things because what you're doing is repeated on the other side. So anyways, enjoy. So before we start sewing, I want to go over all of the pieces, and I'll also tell you a couple tiny things I did since my cutting video. It looks like a pile of stuff right now, I know. So we have our 4 handle connectors and our 2 D-ring connectors for our crossbody strap. Since the cutting video, I took and put 1/4 inch double-sided tape down the center lines of those. We have our 4 zipper tabs because we are making the regular version and not the modified. That's something you wouldn't need for the modified. I have a zipper end. I have 2 sets of magnetic snaps. I have my Decaville Light rivet stabilizers. I'm going to go ahead and set those to the side. I have a woven label I'm going to put in from More Me Know. It's one of my favorites. I have my 4 rectangle rings, and I am doing the 3 1/4 inch wide straps per the pattern. I have my metal logo piece. So set that aside until I need it. I have my 2 3/4 inch D-rings. I guess I've been setting some stuff to the side, so. Oh, I also have strap ends and purse feet that I'm going to use. I have my crossbody strap, so I needed a slider and 2 clips, and I also went ahead and assembled that. What I like doing on this like woven webbing is I just take a piece of my vinyl and wrap it around the ends so it can't fray, but that is going to go to the side until the bag is done. So for my handles, you could put tape down here if you want, but we will be folding in to the center and then folding over again. So I already prepped one of those to speed things up. I put my zipper pulls on. What did I do? I cut something wrong. I'm gonna have to cut these down. Looks like I cut this one too long. Okay, interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now before I forget. Wow, I have no idea why I did that. Okay, I also have orange cat fur everywhere, but to be expected. Okay. Hopefully they're right now. Okay, so our side panels, I haven't done anything extra to those, but I do have my seam allowance for folding and then my magnetic snaps and my centers marked. My top lining pieces, I've got that seam allowance marked and my centers marked, so there's 2 of those. For my base, I just have my purse feet marked right now. And then my zipper plackets, I just have the stabilizer on there. My zipper pocket lining pieces, I did go ahead, since the cutting video, put some double-sided tape and folded those down, but we have the top centers marked on those. So I have 4 of those. If you're not making the regular and you're making the minimalist, you won't need that. I have my slip pocket piece in my lining. I have my lower lining pieces, and we've got that one with that part cut out. And then for our main exterior pieces, I went ahead per the pattern and marked 2 lines on each one. That's where we're going to cut in for our handles, and then this is marked per the pattern, and then I also have marked here and here. The upper lining in these pieces, if you're making the minimalist, you're going to mark the whole way because you will be folding everything down to, word spreading. You'll be folding everything down to do your drop-in lining. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some things to the side. Okay. So I'm gonna keep my main exterior out and my handle connectors, my handles. And then we will need with these our bag tag if you're using it, like your logo, your rectangles, your rivet stabilizers, and rivets. So I have some of that set aside. I'm going to go ahead and finish out my other handle. I just like to get those out of the way so I know that they're done at the end. We are just folding in to the center. If you like using tape, by all means, go ahead and use tape here. I've just never have luck sewing through tape in handles. Like, I'll get like skip stitches and stuff. So for me, it's just worth it to spend more time doing the clips, knowing that those stitches will look great. So that's why I do this. And when I'm folding in, I'm leaving like the smallest gap between, so that when I fold over together, there's no bulk in there. And as I'm clipping this part, I'm just feeling to make sure that everything is lining up. And then I'm just going to sew all the way around on both of these. Then these will get set to the side until the very end of the bag, but doing them now, it is done and ready to go. All right. So like I said, I already made the marks on my main panel. And I'm just gonna look, and yeah, looks like I did them right. Okay. So we are going to take and cut into those marks. And you want to make sure that you are only cutting as much as you need. Now, these marks I've made are 3/4 of an inch long because that is the size of the straps that I am doing. My interfacing is trying to pop up. Okay, there we go. If you wanted to do 1-inch straps, you would make your line 1 inch wide. And what I did when I did another one is I took and went like an 1/8 inch out from each side. So the way you measure in from the corner, you're going to go 1/8 of an inch more in to start your line. So you're going to do that on all 4. If you use like a blade like this, you can go back in with like really sharp scissors if it isn't cut enough. I'm just gonna check real quick. It looks like mine are fine, but we'll see here soon. Okay, so then we're gonna take our handle connectors, and we've got the tapes down the centers, and we are going to fold in each side to that center marking line. And you can use a seam roller here to help flatten it. I'm using this lace vinyl, so I'm just gonna finger press it real good. And then you kind of want to make note which end has the extra stabilizer, because we're going to work off of that end for the next step. Almost there. So after I finish this one, I'm going to be putting double-sided tape on the back side of these. And at the end with the stabilizer, we're only going to put about 1/2 of an inch on the end. And then we are going to skip down and only tape the bottom. We're gonna have a spot where our rectangle rings are gonna sit, and you don't want that to be having double-sided tape out there on it. Wouldn't be pleasant. Okay. So, like I said, about 1/2 an inch down on these ends, and these are the ends that have my stabilizer. And then on the rest, I might have gone up too high on that one. Gonna take a tiny bit of this one off. I just want to make sure. She gives you like an approximate measurement in the pattern, and I just didn't measure it. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the end with the smaller piece of stabilizer, or with the end that has the stabilizer and the smaller piece of tape. And we are going to feed that through the hole that we made. And you do want it to be snug. If it's like overly snug, then cut your opening just a tiny bit more. And we want it so that if you lay it like this, the wrong side is up, so that when you fold it down, you have your pretty side. Because this vinyl is a little bit thicker, okay, it's good. But you might, what I was gonna say is you just might have to make those openings just a touch bigger, and that's okay as long as you're keeping it snug. Like you just definitely don't want to overcut it. You'd have a gap. And that wouldn't be good. I have been wanting to make one with like a woven fabric exterior, and from what I have read and been told, you just would need to use fray check here to make sure that your fabric is not going to fray, because you are cutting these openings in it. Okay, these all look good. What we're gonna do is remove that backing on the tape and this line back here. You're just going to make sure that the end goes on that. So pull it in either direction to adjust it so that's right. If you measured correctly, you should be right in the middle of that extra stabilizer. I don't know why that's off, just the tiniest bit. Okay, so now we are going to measure and mark above and below the slot. Okay, and these measurements are in the pattern. If you've made the rosy sling from knotted threads, part of this is going to be familiar. Okay, we are gonna sew a box, and then we're gonna sew another box right inside of it. And we're using those markings to let us know where the top and bottom of the box are. So you're just going all the way around for the box, but then when you get down here, you're just going to make another box right inside that first one. So what we're doing is we're reinforcing, however, we aren't going over the same spots, so we're not perforating our materials to weaken them. Super smart thing Shannon did. And we're just going to repeat that on all 4 of these. So, I know it's going to be really hard to tell, but I just have, the way I do it kind of looks like a spiral. So there's that. And this is what the back looks like right now. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that on the other side. Oh, I started at the top, didn't I? I didn't mean to. I'm going to start on the bottom of the next one. It's easier starting at the bottom because you can go straight across the top and make sure that that is definitely a straight line for when the strap folds over. Alright. So we got all 4 of those done. We are ready to slide our rectangle rings on. So those have been slid on, and then you use a quilting roller and you're going to have this like folded down nicely, and from the corner you're just going to line the edge of your ruler up with the edge of the panel. And what you want to do is make sure your hardware is laying flat, and then you're lining the connector up with the edge of the ruler. So that gives you a nice straight edge here. So you just want to double check, make sure that looks nice. It's not like pulling on it. Okay, so what you can do now is you can measure how far this hangs over. It is made to hang over. That's not something that is wrong. So mine is 1/4 inch. You can trim that 1/4 inch off. What I've been doing, it's kind of silly. I've been cutting that first one off, and then it has like a little bit of tape, and then I'm just taking it to the other ones and using it like this. Okay, so I've got those 4 ends cut off. So now what you can do is, instead of worrying that they're not going to be folded over the same, or you don't have it on the right, the end is cut perfectly. Okay. So you line it up to the bottom. Oh. Mine got a little, it tugged a little, but it's fine. Okay. I'm gonna do the same and get these down. And you're not measuring here, you're just going to the edge and making sure this is straight. But line that up to the bottom. I kind of feel like the one I started with was maybe up higher or something. It's so weird. It was. Huh. Okay. So for some reason my stitch is like 1/8 of an inch higher over there. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to slide these up the tiniest bit. It'll still catch my seam allowance, it'll be fine, but it's tugging too much. So this shouldn't happen in theory, right? But if it does, you can fix it. It's fine. If you're in my shoes, just be extra mindful that you're, oh, those are fine. That, for some reason, that one, I don't know. Maybe I measured wrong. Who knows? The rest looks fine now. Okay. Now that we've gotten that done, we're gonna mark down from the folded edge and make a mark. I'm using a removable marking pen. Also, it in theory is supposed to always wipe off of my vinyl. Okay. I'm just not marking like all the way across. Like, this is gonna be interesting to rivet. My hardware is like thicker. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna stitch like this. I'm gonna stop right before the mark just to make sure I can clear my rivet. Okay. But that means I have to do it on all of them. Also, this gets stitched right here, so literally as long as that gap is in my final seam allowance, I am fine, and it will be. Like I said, I only moved it like 1/8 of an inch. Okay, yes, I did go right before that mark. So you're doing that on all 4 of these. And I'm just gonna, oh, did I get my vinyl? Okay, I need to use a scrap on this when I'm up by that vinyl, or hardware I mean. I thought it was further away. Oh, I hit my pedal instead of my knee lift. Okay, so I'm just gonna take one of my zipper tabs and set it right under there. Zipper tab just to protect that. Okay, so we've got our handle connectors on. What we need to do now is mark for our rivets. So you can measure, I kind of just eyeball. I just want it to set between the hardware and above that line. Okay, I'm going to punch my holes and I'm going to set my rivets, and when I do my rivets, I'm going to put the little stabilizers in there with them, and they'll be back. So I set my rivets on all 4 of my handle connectors. That one's a little crooked. And then I put my bag logo on here, and I'm gonna set those aside for a little bit. We need our bottom and our side panels, our magnets, and then you'll need your purse feet if you're using those. So I made little dots 3/4 inch in from each square. We're going to top stitch around here, and then those marks are gonna let you know where you need to start and stop. And if you'd like, you can leave your tails long. And if you start and stop in that same hole, you can just pull those threads to the back and knot them off. These aren't structural stitches at all for the bag, but it does help keep the bottom stabilizer in place. if you wanted to add like a fun design to the bottom of your bag, now would be the time to do that too. Shannon had one that she did a really fun spider web on, and I thought that would be so cool for this bag with the print I'm using inside, but I'm using lace vinyl, so there's like no point in doing a design over it. Okay, I am going to go ahead and pull this thread to the back before I get there. And then if you go right into the same hole, you won't be able to tell where you started and stopped. And then you're just going to pull that one and then knot these all off. If you are using purse feet, the pattern piece has markings for those, and I've already marked them. I'm going to punch holes for my purse feet, and then I'm going to install those off camera just because they're the screw-in kind and it'll take me a while, but next time you see this piece it'll have the purse feet on it. Okay, so then we're gonna go to our side panel, and I've already used the pattern piece to mark where my magnets are gonna go. If you haven't, you can use the pattern piece, or alternatively she gives you the measurements for where they should go as well. So I'm just going to take the washer for my magnet and mark exactly where this should go. And then I'm going to use my seam ripper to make the holes. Oh, that was probably too big. You definitely want to be careful. Okay. So when you're installing these, you want to make sure that you have a male and a female on each, or else it's not going to work. If you want the each one to be on the same side, like front and back of the bag, you do them the same, and then when they're flipped, no, that's not right. You would do them opposite. Yes. Okay, so that's how I'm gonna do it. It doesn't matter which is which. Okay, so I'm gonna put this one in. It's kind of hard with this print on my vinyl. I just have to feel for it, basically. Okay, so there's one. There's two. I'm not going to set them yet until I'm for sure that I have them how I want them. I have put magnets in wrong before and then had to undo them, and once you've like truly set them, it's very hard to reuse them because you don't want to keep bending the prongs. Okay, so got them in like this. They are going to be the same on front and back. There's one of each. We are good to continue. Okay, so I'm gonna set my washers. And then I like to use like my screwdriver to fold these in. Okay. And then she suggests that you use some duct tape to cover these. So if you just take one piece that is long enough and then cut down the center of that. It's not the easiest to cut duct tape, I must admit. It's a little sticky. Okay. Okay. She also mentions that you can hammer down the prongs. So if I decide to do that, which I have on both, so I probably will, I'll do it off camera. But the duct tape will help protect your lining from the prongs. So press it, like hammering it, you'll just hit it like a gentle tap, just enough to really flatten them in nice so that they will not pull. I really like these ultra thin magnets from More Me Know. They have like a nice lower profile. I really like them. Okay, so now that we are done with those, and like I said, I'll put my purse feet on also. We are going to work on our slip pocket. So what we need, let's see here, got a lot going on here. We need our slip pocket piece and our lower lining piece that has the cutout. Okay. So a note, if you have a directional print, I mentioned this in my cutting video, you're going to want the top to be this flat edge and not this curved edge, because this is going to end up folded up here. Probably didn't really matter on mine, but it is what it is. Okay. So we're going to take and line up the curve on these two pieces. You want the curve to line up and you want the top edges to line up. And then we're going to clip that. Okay, we're going to sew around this and we're going to lower our stitch length for this as well. And I'm just taking my time and adjusting as I go. The nicer your curve for your stitches is, the nicer it is going to lay in the end. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Now you can use pinking shears here. If you don't use pinking shears, you'll need to cut your little V's around your curves. But I'm just going to trim around here. Sorry, apparently the neighbor's dog is angry. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's like a tiny dog. Okay, so I trimmed around there. I got close, but not into my stitches. What she also shows is you can additionally make sure that you are in closer to the curves and just make a couple extra snips. Okay, we're gonna flip these wrong sides together. When I do these, I like to just start folding a little here and then flip. And now I will roll and finger press. I'm going to start with that straight edge, and then you'll just kind of work the curve. Come on. The shorter stitch length helps you get that curve nicer. It's a smoother curve, and it also lets this lay nice. Okay, so there it is, clipped together. Okay, I'm going to change my stitch length back, and now we're going to top stitch around. Sometimes I'm like, I really don't know which way I want to stitch this. Like from which side, I mean. So now we have that top stitch looking nice. We are going to flip this edge up to meet the top. Okay, so this is where we're going to be finishing the bag through. You don't turn it through it, but you do finish the lining through it. We're gonna cut an opening. So you're gonna take at this fold and cut this. So basically we're cutting this piece in half. Now, after I had done this before, I figured you could have done the direction the other way. So like if you look in this pocket, this is going to be upside down, but it would have been right side up, and then you could have flipped this. I'm going to try it eventually. If you're doing the minimalist version, you're not going to cut this, you're just going to close it up because you don't need to birth the bag. Okay, and then She doesn't cut all the way across yet. She just cuts a little bit, but that's fine. What we're gonna do is you flip this over, and then we're going to stitch here. Yes. Oh, we're making a mark. I'm so sorry. This is the second time I've done this, so I don't want to mess it up. She has you make a mark down at the bottom here for a way to fold this up nicely. I'm going to do it this time the way I always do my pockets. It works for me, but the way Shannon does it is very nice. But I fold the bottoms up about 1/2 inch. Okay, so there is a measurement she gives for where to end an angled stitch right here. I'm going to eyeball it because I'm living on the edge, but you're just going to go over, and then you're going to stitch down, and then, like I said, I just have that folded there. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to start from the bottom this time. And once you get to that spot, you're going to angle and stitch. So, in the pattern, you have made marks to fold it in a certain way. This is how, just doing this. So you have a little bit more bulk here, but Shannon's method is fabulous. I'm just opting to do this. Okay. Oh, yes. And you're going to trim these angles right here. Okay. All right. Now we need both lining pieces. We need our upper lining pieces, our D-ring connectors, and our D-rings. You're also going to need rivet stabilizers and rivets. We need our main zipper, our zipper plackets. Yes, okay. Those are the pieces we need. Alright, we're going to start with our zipper. On the end that your zipper is going to close to, we need to angle these. So I am gonna make marks on mine. I learned a fun way to do this from my friend Nicole from Sonar. So I've been trying to do it more because I like how it works. I've been having success, and that makes me happy. Like, look at that. So nice, but we have to seal these together. And this is where it gets iffy. But the clip really helps hold it. I'm basically just hitting it with bursts bursts of the heat. Okay, and then yes, when we let go, we want it to stay there nicely. Okay. So you're gonna take your zipper plackets and you want to make sure that you have the stabilizer on the same ends. And then we need to mark our centers. And you want to mark so that they are on opposite sides of the placket, but they're going to be together when you lay them down the right way. Okay, so stabilizer, both right there, and then my marks are here together. Okay, then we're going to flip these over. Oh, all my marks went away. Do believe this line was here. Okay, and then yes. All right, we're gonna take our 1/8 of an inch tape, and you're going to put them opposite of each other on both sides. So like this one, I was trying to get closer to the stabilizer. And then that one's a little bit out from it. So same thing down here. So real close to my line, just outside my line. And then this is something, just another one of the things Shannon does to make everything that much more perfect. Okay. We're going to remove the backings and fold in on all 4 sides, or all 4 of these sides. I had used heat erase pens when I interfaced. I had all the markings there. Okay. Then we're going to take and angle trim all of them like this to reduce bulk. And we're only cutting the folded over edge. I'm going to flip these back over so the markings are still there in the center. And we are going to take that 1/8 inch tape and go on the edge, close to the end, close to that center mark. And you're going to want to press that down well. And it doesn't matter which side you start with, but you're going to remove your tape from one of them. And then we're going to lay the zipper tape down on that. And I have gone just before that center mark, maybe like 1/8 of an inch. But this gets folded over and you want the ends to meet. And leaving it 1/8 of an inch before gives room for how that's going to fold over. I actually think I may have folded mine a touch too much. Yes, okay. If you need to, now is when you should readjust your zipper tape if you need to. Okay, so we are sewing this down. She says you can do 1/4 or 3/8 for this. I will always choose 1/4 if I have a choice. Oh, yikes. Okay. So we'll do that. And then you're gonna sew another line of stitching just inside of that one. And then we are going to trim our placket. Are we doing it on the ends? Yes, okay. Whew, sorry. Alright, so just right there at the ends, and then also down here we are trimming around the zipper tape, but we are not trimming the zipper tape. It's a little tricky with the tape there, but just eliminate some bulk. I really, really, really love these scissors, these Kai scissors for things like this. I do have them linked in my Amazon store. I definitely recommend them. Okay, and then we are going to turn this right side out, give a tug on your zipper. So I'm going to zip that up like that. Okay. And then match this up. If this does not poke out and look real nice and flat, you can use something to push it out, but it looks like I got it. Okay, so again, we just want to make sure that's nice. And we are going to top stitch around that. I always like starting on the side away from the zipper, just so that's all sitting nicely together. The zipper placket for this bag looks so tiny. It's so cute. Because it just looks like it belongs on a smaller bag. Because when the bag is folded in, it just has the tiny little area. It's so cute. I love it. Okay, so there is 1/2. Just going to repeat exactly what I did on the other side. Okay, so now I have the zipper placket done for our recessed zipper. So again, just the exact same thing on the other side. I did also get my purse feet installed, so that is done as well. Now we're going to find the centers on this. I'm just gonna barely notch. Okay, I can see them. All right, so that is ready there. Oh, and also I have this zipper on, but we're gonna take it off. What I like to do before I take it off is just note which side has the zipper tooth at the top, so I know which one when I put the zipper back on. For me, having the pull on makes parts of this easier to do. Just something I do. Okay, so we have our upper linings, and I do have my centers marked on those. We need to mark centers on our lower lining. Okay. Now we're going to attach the zipper to the lower lining. Okay, let's see here. I like when I'm looking at my finished bag in the front, I want the slip pocket to be on the back, and I want my zipper to close to the left. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to lay this here because it's going to end up like this. You don't want it like face down. You want it face up. And then we will line those up in the center and clip. And with that slip pocket, it should literally be like right where it starts and ends. And then you're gonna do same thing here, but it's gonna go this way because when you turn them and they're facing each other, you want it like that. So just make sure that's how they're laying. Okay, and then we're going to baste those on. Alright, so those are in place. Now we're going to set those aside for a moment and we're going to grab our upper lining. If you are not adding the D-ring connectors for a crossbody strap and you have no intention of adding one, you can skip this step. But if you are, you gotta do it. So similar to how we did those handle connectors, we've got the tape down the centers and we need to be mindful of which end has the stabilizer because it doesn't go the whole way. Okay, so my stabilizer's up here. We're gonna take tape and just like we did on the handle connectors, we're gonna put about a 1/2 inch of tape sorry, where the stabilizer is, and then further down, leaving a gap, we're going to put a little bit more tape. Okay. Now we need to mark for our, oh, I forgot, we do it this way, for our handle connectors. So, okay. Measurements are in the pattern. But this is very similar to the handles on the front. We're just making that line mark, and then we're going to cut that line. And again, you're trying to only cut on that mark. Okay, so now we take the end that has the smaller piece of tape that has all the stabilizer in there, and we're going to feed that in just a little bit. Oh, also, we're doing this on the same side on each because when the bag is complete and they're flipped together, you have the opposite ends for your connectors. So you don't want to do like one there and one there. You would have a very lopsided crossbody purse. I think I saw someone did it on all 4 of them so that you could like choose how you want to do it, and I thought that was cool. But if you're just doing 2. Okay, so we are going to take that tape off, and then what we're lining this up with is the bottom of that stabilizer. Okay. So then we're going to mark these. Where did my little ruler go? Oh, it's in my trash. It's not where it goes. Okay. We're going to mark these like how we marked for our handles. And we're going to sew the double boxes again. So same thing for both. Again, it's just like how we sewed our handle connectors for the exterior. I do apologize because I'm using black on black for my tutorial, and I know that makes it not as easy to see. But I just loved this combination so much that I felt it needed to be my tutorial combination. Okay. So we're going to put our D-rings on and then fold those down. And similar to the handles you can have excess that can be trimmed off. So if you just lay, like, this is where it bends. If you just lay that there and then fold it down, and they should be similar. So mine, with the thickness of my vinyl, and I do use like a decently thick hardware, it is like that. Okay. And then we're going to mark again. I marked those right. Yeah. Okay. So we're just going to sew these on up to that mark, just like the handles, except we're not going too far here. Okay, my scraps. Putting that scrap there just protects your material and your hardware from your foot. Okay, same thing on the other one. And like I said, we're not going far. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I keep coughing. Came out of nowhere. Okay. So just a little box there because we're still putting a rivet in, but we're not putting the rivet in yet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach these to the lower lining. So line up your centers and your edges. And every time I've done this so far, the one with my slip pocket, I just needed to pull it the tiniest bit and then everything lined up. I thought maybe the first time I did it that I didn't cut it right, but just the tiniest little tug to adjust where that seam is, and it worked for me. So if that happens to you, just adjust it a little and it's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clip the other one. And your connector should not overlap with your zipper placket. Alright, so now we're going to sew these together and make sure that your zipper is out of the way. And when you're sewing this, you can give like a little back stitch at the start and stop of your zipper placket. And you can also do a little back stitch over that strap connector. So, doing the same on both sides. Okay, and then we are going to fold the lower lining down. So we've got our seam going down. We have our zipper placket up. So just the lower lining is folded down over everything. And then press or finger press this nice and well. And then we are going to top stitch this down. Skip a stitch. I did. Can't tell though. But I know. And we're doing the same thing on the next one. It's so cute. Okay. Now we are going to put our rivets in. Okay, so we can clip these zippers like this. I eyeball mine usually. Okay. Then go ahead and punch those holes and set the rivets. So I put my rivets in here. I forgot to put my stabilizer, but you should put the stabilizer there. Really bad about that. Anyways, so we've got our one with our slip pocket, and that is open. And then we have our one without. So we need our lining pieces. We need our zipper pocket linings, all 4 of those. And we need our main exterior panels, our remaining zippers, and our zipper tabs. We got 4 of those. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to prep our zippers. So I already worked on 3 of them so that those are out of the way. But you're going to, on both short ends of all of them, make a mark, and then on one side you are angling. What we're doing is we're setting it up to reduce bulk. So measurements in the pattern for this, and then we are putting tape down at the line on each side, taking the tape off. Okay, this is where I have to focus for a second. Okay, with the tape right side down, you're gonna line it up on the wrong side and press that down right at the line, and then you're folding this down and they should be at the same distance. So your zipper tape should be at the line for both sides. I'm just gonna pop a clip on there to hold that, and we're gonna do that on all 4 of these for each end of the zipper. All right. Okay. So now we're going to top stitch those tabs on. And you are sewing through the tape. So if you need to, after this, you can clean your needle off. Now you should have caught both sides of the tab. So I'm going to check and make sure. Yep. So that is what those look like. And now we need to mark in on the ends of each tab. Sorry if I'm in the way. Trying not to be. Also, I didn't mention, but you do want to make sure that you have your zipper tabs on, or I'm sorry, your zippers on already. That is important. So if you don't, you're gonna need to take a tab off and put those on. Okay, so we have those little marks there. We are going to trim from that mark to where your stitches are. Carefully You're just making a little angle. All right, so we're doing that on all 4 of those on both sides. Okay, and now we are going to tape these up. So we are taking and taping on the right side the zipper tabs all the way down the tape. Okay, after you tape, you're going to find your center. And I can see where I've creased that, but I'm going to mark on the back. Okay, I'm gonna tape and mark this one in a second. What we're gonna work with first is the front, one of our zippers, 2 zipper lining pieces, and the lining that does not have the slip pocket, because I want that slip pocket to be in the back when it's together. So we need those pieces. And then we're gonna set the rest of these to the side. Like I said, I'm gonna tape my zipper after this. Okay, zipper, lining without the pocket, 2 of those zipper lining panels, and our front. I'm gonna flip these down so they're out of the way. Okay, so this is where she will tell you about your zipper orientation. I want all of my zippers to close to the left. So when I'm doing this one, I want it to be closing to the left. When I do the next side, I'm gonna want it to be the opposite way, so that when it's put together, it works. So just make sure you're testing it before you make each one. I'm going to make this side fully filmed, and then I'm going to time lapse the second side, the back, because it's all the same steps. This bag does take a decent amount of time. Trying to not have too long of a tutorial. I know usually I don't really cut parts out or anything, but it is truly the same thing repeated on the back. Okay, so we are going to take our zipper and we're going to lay it right side down, and then that top edge is where we're going to take the tape off. Okay, and then we have our center marked. We're going to match our centers up. Yes, okay, and then we are going to use that tape and get those together. And with this angled zipper tab, the way we've prepped that, it just curves down there so nicely. Okay, so we've got that on. And then she says you can clip these zipper tabs down. And you should have the same distance left on both sides. All right, we're going to baste this on, but we're going in to 1/4 of an inch. Sounds like I need to change my bobbin before I do any top stitching. Okay, so that is on there now. We're gonna take one of our lining pieces and we're going to line that up to our center mark. If you did not already, make sure that you have these corners folded down to be out of your seam allowance. Okay, and now we are going to go the full length of the zipper, but we're gonna go in to 3/8 of an inch. If you can't get to it, get as close as you can. So I have a way I've been doing my 3/8 inch zippers. I'm actually gonna go 1/4 of an inch again. And this is what's been working for me. I don't own a zipper foot. If you have a zipper foot, you could definitely get that 3/8 of an inch already. But what I've been doing, and it's, like I said, been working for me, I'm gonna flip it over, and now my zipper tape is face up and it's easier for me to get closer. And I don't quite get the 3/8, but I'm just going right inside that stitch that I just did. So it's just right in there. Alright, we're going to flip this wrong sides together. I'm so excited because this is where the bag like starts to, like, you can see it's like coming together. Okay, I do need to change my bobbin. I might have made it, but better safe than sorry. I hate to be top stitching. Oh, did we not catch it? There it is. I'd hate to be top stitching and, you know. Okay. So don't top stitch quite yet. Alright. Shannon says, it's time for my typical funky methods that help reduce bulk and work around some of the typical limitations we have in bag making. Stick with it. Trust her. Okay. On the wrong side, we're going to put some double-sided tape. At these marks we made before. Ugh, come on. Above the line? Did I go above? Yes, okay. Alright. So right there. Okay, Thea. Okay. Oh, and no, we need this up. That's why. Okay, so it's two separate pieces for a reason. Okay, so there and there. Okay. The bit of prep work, I know it's like, oh, just go right into, nope. Okay, so you're going to use a removable pen for this. Sorry, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Okay, but you're keeping this folded down. Okay, sorry. Had to look at it. So we're taking this backing off. And we're folding this down. And as she says, even if you perfectly did your seam allowance, it might not match completely, but you're just going to do your best to grade it so that from your zipper to the edge, it ends up at that seam allowance. So like you're just folding it in. Okay. Now we are going to draw our 1/8 of an inch seam allowance with that folded and tucked in there. So from our zipper tab to the edge, and then flip it back over again. And where that tab is, you're going to snip right here and fold that back up. You can leave that tape there if you need to. I have a hard time getting it off. Oh, okay. So again, snipping there, but you're not snipping so far that it's going to show. Okay. The problem is I touched the pen. Okay, now we're going to do our top stitch, but we're not going to back stitch. We're going to leave long thread tails. You're going to have this piece up, but everything else down. And you're going to stitch on that line and again make sure everything is pressed nicely. So this mark is helping you grade into the seam allowance. Okay, and again, long thread tail. And then I'm going to take my marks off, but there we have our top stitch. Okay, and to finish off this part, you're going to measure in from the edge and make a mark. on both sides. And we're gonna pull thread tails until we get to that mark. So this stitch is the one closest to it. So see, there's the mark and there's the stitch. And then I'm going to knot this off. And I'm going to tape this down right here. Same thing for this side. So closest stitch to that mark. And I'm just gonna tape this down. Okay. So there, that front part is done. Okay, we are... Sorry. We're gonna take our lining piece, and then we are going to take the tape off the other side of the zipper. This does get slightly in the way, so we're going to find that center mark and line our centers up. Okay, and then just like we did on the other side, put that down there. Okay, so you would baste this on now, but since I am going to put this on and do a 1/4 inch again, I'm just going to go ahead and clip this on and do my 1/4 inch stitch, and then I'll flip it over and work on my 3/8 like I did on the other side. Okay, so make sure that zipper placket is out of the way. And we're going zipper tab to zipper tab, not just where the lining piece is. Find where is it? Okay, here it is. Find the zipper. Also you want to make sure that the D-ring connector is in here. You want to make sure that's out of your way. Okay, now I'm going to flip this over and do my second stitch. Alright, making sure everything is out of the way again. Gonna move the zipper. And then I'm gonna make sure everything is looking good. So we've got that one side, and then got this side. So basically, once we do a top stitch here, we have half of the bag kind of done. One side at least. Okay. So this is where, if you're going to use an iron, which I'm terrible and I really never do, you're gonna iron this flat now. Okay, and then we're gonna flip this back like this, and we're gonna get some more tape, lots of tape, and we are taping just past that stabilizer, about like this. Okay. And then we need to notch from the zipper tab to about here. So you're just going about 1/4 inch in and apart on both sides. Okay. And then we're going to take the tape off and fold down to meet the line. Just the back, not the tape. Okay. So again, this is where your seam allowance from your zipper, you're going to make it go to the actual seam allowance line. So just fold it where you stitched, and then work your way into the line. And if you need to, throw some clips there. Same thing with this other side. It is, you got a lot going on, so just do your best. Okay, got that. Okay, so we're gonna flip this because we're going to be top stitching. We're gonna be top stitching this lining top piece and the zipper lining. We do not want to go through the exterior front or the zipper pocket that went to that. So if you open the zipper, it's easier to work with. And you just kind of have to shove things out of the way and work it as you go. Okay. And we're leaving long thread tails again. And we're starting just before. Okay. Starting about 3/8 of an inch before the zipper tab, which is going to be lined up just about to where we were on the other side. Okay. So again, you have a lot of layers to manage. So just fold everything however you need to manage it. Make sure that everything is pulled tight where it needs to. Take your time. And if you're like tugging on your zipper, you want to just make sure that you're using equal force the whole way to avoid a wavy zipper. So like I am pulling on it to try to make sure that everything is flat, but I'm making sure to do it the whole way. I'm leaving a long tail again, and then I'm going to check. Ooh, it looks nice. So nice. Okay, do not trim those tails. Just leave your threads. Leave them. Okay, so now we are folding the lining pocket pieces together and folding the other pieces away, and we're matching these up. Okay, so you kind of got stuff going on in here, but bear with. Okay, so we're gonna sew this closed in 2 sets of stitches because we don't want to start at the zipper tab. You're gonna have all this behind your foot. It's really hard to work. So you're going to stitch into it and stitch into it. So you're gonna start middle bottom, come up, and you kind of have to like fold everything out of the way, but you're gonna get up there and then you're gonna pivot and you're gonna get as close as you can to everything. So I got to there, which leaves the tiniest little gap, but truly is nothing's getting through there. All right, and then you're just gonna flip it over to stitch from the other direction and do the same thing. So again, got my zipper there. You're angling in and try to fold as much out of the way as you can and just get as close as you can. Okay, so this is what it's gonna look like. We have our zipper pocket lined, looks real nice. Got your exterior, and we have this top stitch here, and once this gets folded in, it's gonna match up there, real nice. And then we have left our thread tails here and here for later. So now that this is done, I'm going to take my other main lining half, the back of my exterior, the other two pieces, and the zipper tape, and I'm going to do exactly what I just did to this. On this, I'm going to hyperlapse it, so you'll see me go through it really fast, but if you need to, just rewatch this part to do that part. Now that we have both of our sides done, our exterior sides, you want to make sure your zipper is going the same way. If it's not, you're gonna have a lot of picking out to do, but once I put that on, they're all three gonna be going that way. So we're gonna need those, our bottom and our exterior sides. So we're ready to assemble the bag. It's time to finish. Okay, so we're gonna take one of the sides and move everything but the exterior panel out of the way, and we're going to put the bottom on there, right sides together. I'm just gonna clip these together. And then we're gonna sew that together. I'm gonna have to sew a second line because I am not as far in as I should be, and it's because of the purse beat. Okay, I'm gonna flip it over. I think with the purse beat, hi Donut, sorry Donut, just carried a baby squishmallow in here, in his mouth, so cute. Okay. Yes, this is easier for me with the purse feet because I'm not fighting against them. So I'm gonna try to sew my other side this way too. Okay. Alright. So we're not top stitching this. Alright, we're gonna take the other side and do the same thing, and I'm gonna stitch it this way this time. Okay, so now we have this big old long line of everything, right? Sorry if I hit that and shook it. Okay, we can, she has you do this before, but I'm just gonna roll this out of the way. Oh, that did nothing. Okay. I'm just gonna fold it and clip it on both sides. Just try to keep it out of the way some. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is make some snips here. Okay, so each layer, do not cut into your stitches, but you're gonna snip close to them, meeting that stabilizer. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to trim into our seam allowance on these, but we're not going to trim the handle connectors. So we will, and we're not trimming this part, we're leaving that there. We're gonna trim here, and then you can just kind of angle that there. And then after the connector, and then okay, and then the side for the bottom, you can do this and trim the one side. So this is what you're left with. I'm gonna go ahead and do that on the other side. Okay, so there, that's ready. And then you can also take and angle right here. Okay. So this is what that's gonna be like when you open that, and that's gonna help when we get to the next part. Just gonna clip them open so I don't forget that they need to be open. And it really makes a difference in how everything fits together next. Okay, well apparently though I don't have this center marked. Gonna get my centers taken care of first. Okay. So we're gonna be stapling quite a bit now. So I'm gonna grab my stapler and my staple remover, and we're gonna prep our side panels. So from on the curves, we're going to be making notches. Maybe didn't go in far enough there. So just about 1/4 of an inch. This is gonna help when we fold down so that it sits nicely. And I could have stacked them on top of each other and done this to do it at the same time. Okay. Okay, we're going to take one of these and right sides together. We're going to match centers. I'm going to clip this, but I'm also going to staple. And when you're stapling, you want to be like 1/8 of an inch in because you want to be stitching inside of that. So you match that center, and then remember we want those loose. Okay, and then you're going to match the top edge with the top of your exterior panel. So using staples means it's not going to shift on you at all. I was so far on the edge I didn't even catch that one. Okay, I need to put a couple more clips in. I'm having a hard time with it flopping around. Okay, let's see. I want to make sure that is nice and lined up. Alright, there we go. And then same on the other side. There's a lot going on, so it is a lot to maneuver. So take your time. Okay. So I'm going to leave these curves like this. And I'm going to put some more staples in on these long edges first. And I'm gonna add a couple of staples here. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're going to make notches in the exterior to help ease that around, and you're going right. Don't cut the seam, but you can notch very close to it. Okay, and then this should ease nicely into that. You're just gonna work it and see how with that seam open, it's so very nice right there. But pop some staples in here. And then do the same on the other side. Sometimes I have to turn it both ways and look at it. Okay. Oh. Okay. This part is slightly tricky, but you've got this. This is, I can take all these clips out because I have it stapled enough. We're gonna stitch this, make sure everything's out of the way, and we're stitching it with the side panel up. And you're gonna go all the way around, back stitching at the start and stop. And a stiletto is definitely helpful here. And if you need to lift and adjust, just take your time. You want to make sure everything is staying put. The staples definitely help. And one of my staples came out because I was too close to the edge. That's okay though. I'm just making sure everything is still lined up. Okay, you're gonna want to make sure that everything is right, and when you're trimming your threads here, make sure you're only trimming this because we have all these other ones hanging out still. Okay, so this slid in a little bit, but it's fine. I'm not going to redo that. It's a nice even curve there still. Well, I don't know. That is kind of a bit. Let me see what it looks like. I think that's fine. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is take the staples out. And because I always end up stapling from both directions, I have to flip it. I really like this staple remover because I'm able to just do that all at once like that. Okay, so now we're gonna stitch just where the swoop stabilizer is, and we're gonna be right inside our seam allowance for this. And this is just adding some reinforcement to that area. Okay, so there is one side done. And then we're just going to repeat the same on the other side. Alright, now we have both sides sewn with that extra stitch line there. And now what we're gonna do is cut at this angle here on that line, not into your stitches, but close to. Make sure you don't cut any of your threads that are hanging out. Okay, so we've got that done. And now we are going to trim down the seam allowance, but not that part. Just make sure everything else is out of your way. Oh, I should have backstitched on that seam, but at least there's the 2 rows of stitching. So I'm sorry, I forgot to say that and to do it. Okay, trim down this side. I just didn't trim into that seam right here. Okay, so now that is all trimmed. Okay, we are going to flip our lining pieces. I'm gonna unclip these. Okay, we are going to line up our sides, and you're gonna have these so it's straight, but I'm gonna line up the seam here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna clip my zipper tape in there away from everything else. Then I'm gonna line up this side. And I'm matching up where those seams are, where the upper and lower lining panels meet. Okay. We are going to sew along these edges. And after you sew down those edges, you're gonna sew another back stitch here on that seam, just about a ½ inch. So you're gonna do it on both. And it's the back stitch is just outside of the stitch, so within the seam allowance. So weird having these long thread tails and not trimming them as I go. Okay, so we are going to snip at the drawn lines on both sides. And we are going to trim our seam allowance down. Okay, and we're going here too. You're just going outside of that second line, small line of stitching, and that helps you keep that together too, since we are trimming right here. Okay, so we've got this going on. We're leaving this whole bottom right now. All right, we are going to take tape. Put my stapler away. Okay, we're gonna take tape and we're going to put it right above the line on the side panels. So this is a little tricky to show well, but I'm taking the tape and I'm gonna do that on both sides. Okay. For right here, this is going to end up opened, but we're also going to be folding this over. So there's a little bit of tape left there. She has you put glue in here. I didn't glue it last time, and I think mine turned out fine. But absolutely listen to her and do that. I'm just not going to right now. Okay. So with this seam opened, you're gonna have the tape go past that too. So I'm just gonna put a little bit more tape, move it if I need to. Also, I just want to say from this point on, I am going to do it a little bit differently than the pattern. There's nothing wrong with the pattern, but she has you use like a hand sewing needle to finish parts of this, and I truly don't even think I have one to do it. But I will show you how I finished it. I do have like small back stitches when I do the final stitch versus starting and stopping in the same hole and hand needling through. Shannon's video is very descriptive. It's amazing, and she shows you how to do it the right way. So I recommend definitely watching her video, but I will show you my alternative way that I found that worked for me. I'm also putting tape here. Okay, and I'm gonna fold this one down. Okay, my tape is holding pretty well. Okay, so on this side, what I'm doing is I'm folding. I'm going to take the back off my tape. We are folding everything down to that line. So if your interfacing goes up a little bit high and you can't fold your interfacing down, do your best to get to the line. It's gonna look better, but because of the way it goes together, we are able to match both sides up and kind of like, I guess, fudge it a little bit, I would say. There's a little bit of wiggle room, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I'm folding this down, and then I'm just kind of readjusting as needed. Getting as close as I can. Okay, so basically what you should have is from your zipper tab on both sides, it should be folded down. And then I'm going to do that on the other side as well. So I need some tape right here. So you're opening that seam. And then I just use some clips to hold that. The rest is holding really well on its own. Move that out of my way. Again, there's a lot going on. I'm doing my best to show it all. folding this down, and we are right by that zipper tab. So just ease it into the seam allowance. Sorry, I know it's probably having a hard time focusing because I'm doing so much. So I apologize. It is a difficult thing to show. Okay, so again on this side, folding this down and then easing into the seam allowance. So if you do like this center part first, it kind of helps, and then just do your best to get that there. The important thing is that when we put them together to do the final top stitch, that everything matches up on both the lining and exterior. Okay, so got that on both sides like that. We are going to turn the bag right side out. So exciting. So we have this big old opening, which is amazing. Now, all those clips we just put on, a couple of them might come off, but we can fix it. Just do your best. Oh, see, I heard one. Push the corners out. Just sorry I had to abruptly end right in the middle of, I think, talking. Dinner came and my daughter decided to open the door and get it. So anyways, all right, so got that pushed out. It is right sides out. Gonna take a look, see how everything looks, and I'm not gonna transfer any clips here yet, but you can kind of see, like, oh, I love it, so cute, so cute. Okay, so now what we are going to do is I'm going to do it a little bit different from how the pattern says. Right now you would be lining this up and matching it, and then going to your cylinder arm if you have one. If you don't, top stitching this, and then you'll finish the bag. I am going to work on these stitches first before I do anything else, and then I'm gonna finish the bag, and then I'm going to top stitch these on my cylinder arm. So what I'm doing is I'm going to match up this side with this seam. So I just want my stitch to be as close to where that seam is, and I think if I pull this through right here, I'm going to be as close to that as possible. And then I'm going to knot this. And in a minute I'll pull that through and take care of that. So again, looks like I went much further on this one. Okay, because you want it to sit like this and be even, because we're just top stitching these together. So that's pretty close. If you were using like a contrasting thread too, which I haven't done on a regular one yet, I think it would matter more, that like having the back stitch, but I really only do a couple back stitches, and I thought it was alright for me. So that is a choice you have to make. Like I said, Shannon's video includes covering that from how it is done in the pattern. One more. Okay, not that. Okay, and then I can kind of tell I have like little threads poking out from my zipper tab in a couple spots. That looks fine. Okay, so what I need to do with all of this being open is I need those strings to all be inside. So basically by me doing this here, it is avoiding having to use the needle and thread to pull those down in there. And I could tape them in there too, which I think I'm gonna do. Just need 4 pieces of tape. Okay, so I want these to stay out of the way and not pop back up. So just taping them down where this isn't gonna affect any of my stitching to finish the bag. Okay, so now we can finish the lining. So I'm gonna skip past that final top stitch, and what we're gonna do is we have that pocket open. We're going to reach in and pull the bottom of the lining through. Another reason why I am doing this now is because I don't want to switch back and forth on my cylinder arm, which, call me lazy. It's fine. I understand. Okay, so we are going to get the bottom of our lining together here. And if you want to put a woven label in, this is a good spot. I put it on my side seam on the first one I made, and you can't really see it when the sides are snapped together, which is fine, but this, it will show better. All right, and then we are going to stitch that. Okay, and then press it open best you can. Okay, and then we're going to box our corners. So lining the seams up and folding that flat. And then we'll stitch those. It is slightly awkward because this is pulled through the bag, but it is completely doable. And having this gigantic hole to turn the whole bag through is so nice. Okay, one side down. Okay. And then I'm going to trim this just a little bit here. I'm not cutting into any stitches at all, but okay. So you can push that down in, and now we need to close our pocket lining. You could always put a woven label here if you would like. If you followed the pattern, you should very easily be able to fold yours in. Alright. And then you're just going to stitch that closed. We are almost done. Okay. I'm going to push that in there. I don't know what I was trying to do. Just poke the corners in. Okay. I'm gonna make sure I don't have any clips inside the bag from turning it. I don't feel anything in there. So that's what the inside of the bag looks like. Going to clip the zippers out of the way. All right, now we need to match these up. So you should be able to match the center marking up first. And then you're just making sure that both sides are at the same height. So that's what that should look like. Everything should match up nicely. Okay, center is right there. Ooh, I love it already. Alright, so I'm going to head to my cylinder arm. If you don't have a cylinder arm, you absolutely can do this on a regular machine, but it is easier on it. And we're just going to stitch and stitch, and then we're done sewing. As I said, we are just going to be stitching the side panels together with the lining, basically from the zipper tab to the zipper tab. If you're following the pattern, you're gonna specifically follow the ways in which Shannon tells you to do this. My stitches start right on the seam, so I'm gonna start with my needle in there, but I'm gonna end up going back. I'm just gonna back stitch a little bit, excuse me, and I'm going to go from side to side. I'm gonna move my zipper pull so it's out of my way. Okay. Also, I know the lighting right here is not great, so I apologize. Alright, so I'm gonna go back, forward one. I'm gonna go back two. That's gonna lock in my stitches. And then I'm just gonna go slow. I want to make sure that my layers are staying together. You don't want anything to shift on you. You want it to look like they were stitched together. They are stitched together, but like evenly. Anyways. Clearly, you're like, duh, Brittany. What are you talking about, lady? Okay. Okay. So when I get here, making sure everything stays aligned, I'm going to go one stitch past that seam. I'm going to go back to, forward one, and for me, that's going to take care of that. So I'm going to trim these down, and then I'll hit them with the lighter. So everything is together. You, because of my material, really cannot tell that I've done that. Okay, so again, I'm gonna start right there in that seam. I'm going one forward, two back, and then I'm gonna keep going forward. Going one stitch past it, two back, and then I'm done. Okay, so in this spot, my stitches did not 100% match up, but I would have had to go really far over. Thankfully, you really won't be able to tell. I couldn't see my stitches as I was going. If you can, with the material and the thread you're using, That's fine. Everywhere else, I ended up in the same stitch. Okay, we're gonna go back to the other table and we're gonna do the last couple things to finish up. All right, so now we just need the finished bag. Take these clips off of here. We just need to put our zipper pull on and put our handles on. So I'm gonna put my pull on, and like I said before, I marked the side that I know my zipper, you want to make sure it's not twisted too. So I marked the side that the tooth should be up first. Okay, so that's good. And then you're just gonna go ahead and put your straps on, and then I'm gonna time lapse these couple things because I'm gonna put the little strap ends on. I'm gonna use my little strap end guide. Got all the tools to finish this up, and then I already did my crossbody strap, so that's good to go. I will time lapse this all, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna fold the bag to have it finished and ready. Alright, so everything is together. We have our zipper end on. I would have maybe trimmed that down a little. I usually don't let it be as long, but fine. I've got my handles on, and then I have my crossbody, and that clips on these D-ring connectors. Okay, so this is the bag when it's expanded, right? I'm gonna take these back off to help shape the bag. So these fold in like this, and then you just kind of fold it. If your vinyl is like extra stiff, you might have a hard time getting it to do it, but these sides pop out, and then where that extra stabilizer is, it really helps let that bend so nicely in that spot. So I like to leave the bag, words, Brittany. I like to leave it snapped together when I have it setting, and that just helps it learn its shape. So there is the Rowena handbag. I am seriously obsessed with it. So there is everything all said and done. It is so cute. I love it so much. The only thing I have left to do is decide what I want to make for myself with one. I would maybe keep this one, but I haven't decided. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Leave me a comment if you have any questions. Let me know if you made one or you're planning. All of the knotted threads patterns are amazing, so you can't go wrong with any of them. Hope you have a great day. If you haven't already subscribed, I would love if you did so. I do appreciate it so much, and I will catch you in the next one.